Okay, in this video, we're going to do the equity schedule. So I'll pull that right up. Okay, first thing with equity schedule, we want to look at preferred shares, common shares. What we want to do is find out how much it's going to cost us for dividends, number one. Number two is we want to know what the ending balance is on the balance sheet. And then the third thing, we want to know what the retained earnings, and that's to find out the ending balance on retained earnings for the balance sheet. So let's get to it. Preferred stock, the last recorded year, actual year recorded. We want to find out what is the ending balance for that. So I'm going to go all the way up to uh, preferred shares, the balance sheet here. And this is the corkscrew method. So that's the last ending balance of the last recorded year. I'm going to bring that in for the beginning balance for the projected year. Next, what we want to find out what's the new issuance of um, preferred stock. So I'm going to go to our assumptions, and we're going to make the assumption that preferred stock issuance or buyback is going to be right here, which is going to be a positive for that first year. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add up the beginning balance and the new preferred stock, new or buyback. I'm going to highlight those, go across, Control R. Next, we want to find out what is the dividend payout rate. So I'm going to go up here. It's part of our equity assumptions. I'm going to go to preferred share yield. And then I want to know what is the dividend payout. So that's going to be either the average between the beginning and the ending, or you could just take the beginning balance. I'm going to multiply it times that rate. Put those, one thing I always forget is to bring in for that percentage, or it's going to be a zero. So, okay, go across, Control R. We got the preferred stock all solved. Let's go to common shares, which is going to be very similar, but with there's a difference with this. So let's go to common shares and go straight up to the balance sheet, find out the last recorded year of common shares. And we're going to bring that in the ending of the last recorded year. So the ending balance will be the beginning for the next year. Next, we want to know what is the new issuance or buyback. Again, I'm going to go to assumptions. I'm going to go to our common, and we have zeros across, but I want to bring that in. And then I want to know what is the outstanding ending. Well, it's going to be the beginning plus the change. That dragged across. So we got our preferred common. Now we got to know the dividend payout rate. That again, that's going to be in the assumptions just like the preferred. So here's the common payout rate. Now we want to know a net income because what's unlike the preferred stock, the common is only going to have money depending on if we have a positive net income. So if it's negative, so we have to know what the net income is based on net income. It's a certain percent of net income. The preferred is just a percent you're going to get the paid out no matter what. So it's going to be that 10% of the 44 million shares that we have. So we have to bring in net income, and we're going to get that all the way to the income statement. All right, in the income statement, we got net income, and then we have something we subtracted out, the preferred dividends, and we got net income to common. So the net income that we need for the common shares is the net income to common shares because it's only after we're paid out the preferred dividends. Those are paid out first. So if there's a net income left over, then we will get that for the common shares. So we have to get the net income to common. And then we have to do the common dividend. Now that's going to be, again, the beginning balance. You can take the average at the beginning, the ending, or just multiply it times the beginning. Okay. Now this is only if there's a positive amount. Only if there's a positive amount. If there's a negative net income, you do not get common dividends paid out. So what we need is, I'm going to do a max function in this example. because I'm going to do, well, if it's a positive amount, right? So I'm going to take the net income, multiply that times the dividend payout rate, comma. So I want the max between that equation and zero. Okay, why do I want zero? Because if this is negative, if net income's negative, my dividend would be negative. So I want the max between a negative number and zero. So if we have a negative income, it will be a zero dividend. If it's a positive income, that means we'll have a positive amount. So that would properly display the correct calculation. So that go across. Again, I made that mistake. Like I said, I always do that. So I brought over that dividend payout rate. You have to enter it in again because it's not going across my assumptions. And I'll just go across. This is incorrect so far. The number isn't until we fill out everything because net income is not correct for the projected years past the first one. And we will do that under retained earnings. So let's do retained earnings. We want to know what is the ending balance of retained earnings, which is in the balance sheet, the equity part of the balance sheet. So I'm going to go to retained earnings. So all three of those, you look at the equity part, preferred, common, retained earnings are found in the equity schedule. So I'm going to find the ending balance and I'm going to bring in the beginning balance. So we want to know what is the ending of retained earnings? What is the ending amount? Well, we have to know what amount we're bringing in. Then I want to know how much money did I make this year from net income? Okay, and this is important. What net income do I want? Do I want the net income to common or do I want the net income before that? Well, if you look below this, I have preferred dividends. You really want to think about this. I got preferred and I got common dividend, which tells me if I got preferred and common, um, that means I'm going to subtract those out. So I do not want to take the net income to common because that's already subtracted out preferred. That means I would be subtracting it out twice. So what I want to do is find the net income, go all the way to the income statement. I want the net income before the preferred. And I'll show what it looks like. So I'm going to go here. See how I have the net income and then I subtracted out the preferred dividend and then I have the net income to common. Well, I want this. Why do I know I want that? Because I'm subtracting out the preferred and the common and retained earnings. So I want to get that amount. So that's important to see. If I did the net income to common, I subtracted out preferred twice. Next, I want the preferred dividend. What is that? So how do I know how much money I have left over? Well, I have to subtract out the dividends. I have to subtract out the common dividend. And then I'm going to find out how much I have to retain earnings. Two things you could do with your money, right? After net income. I could pay off the shareholders or I can reinvest it. So to find out how much money I have to retain earnings, I'm going to find out how much retained earnings I brought in from the previous year. I want to know my net income and then I want to pay my dividends and the remainder must be my retained earnings. So I'm going to get a negative amount. So make sure you hit negative. And I want the preferred dividend here. But I want it negative because I want to all equal. I want to sum those up and I want to make sure the outflow of money is negative in this example. So I'm going to do that again. I want to know common. I'm going to hit negative for this. So I'm going to hit the negative right there. Now I'm down there. Now I'm going to hit all equals and that's going to, oops, I'm going to hit all equals and that's going to sum up the balance I brought in from retained earnings, my net income, the subtraction of preferred dividend, and the subtraction of common dividend. So I'm going to highlight those, bring that over. And there we go. Got retained earnings almost all complete here. Next, what I want to do is I want to go up just to show a couple. Actually, I do have it here. Is after the equity schedule, we want to know what is the application of the equity schedule? What are we going to do with that? Well, one of the things we want to know is how much free cash flow do we have for the revolver after we pay off our mandatory debt repayments and after we pay off, and we want to know the issuance and buyback of dividend or of preferred stock and common stock and the dividends. We want to know how much free cash flow we have after all that. So we just solved the dividends, so I'm going to plug it in here. for the debt schedule. Now, this is important to know that we want a negative number. To make this quick, what I can do is I already made it negative down here and it's back to back. So to make it really quick, I'm going to select this rather than this positive number. It's already negative. I don't have to hit the negative. And I have common underneath it. So all I have to do is Control D and then drag it across to the right. And I find that to be the quickest way to do it. Let's go up. Now we need the balances. Now, the equity schedule is going to solve the equity portion of the balance sheet, the ending balance of preferred shares and the common shares. So I'm going to do the preferred first. Go to equity. Let's look at preferred. We want the ending balance. Next, I want to know the ending balance of common. Again, make sure you don't do beginning. Always do the ending for the balance sheet. And then next, I want the ending balance for retained earnings. That's a big portion, the importance of the equity schedule. So now I'm going to all equal. I'm going to sum those up. And now we're going to have the balance sheet. Now it's not going to show all the way complete is because net income is not complete, which messes up retained earnings. That's the only thing that, so the balance sheet will not be correct yet. So that's the only part of the balance sheet. So remember the equity schedule is going to solve the equity portion of the balance sheet. Scroll up, and now we got the cash flow statement part. Now, in this example, I've already plugged in the preferred and common buyback, the issuance or buyback. So again, all that really is just, now this is the cash flow statement. We want to know the change of cash. So we want to know, are we buying back stock or are we reissuing new? That's found in the assumptions. The only part on this I want you to solve is the dividends. This is a outflow. So on the cash flow statement, I want this as a negative. If you notice, they're side by side together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way down to the equity schedule, and I want to get that negative, right? It's already negative, preferred dividend. They're right back to back. And I can get those together. I'm going to highlight that, Control RD, and look what it did. It just made the balance sheet balance. Everything's complete in the balance sheet, and then the cash flow statement is correct. Do we need the income statement? We only need the income statement for the income. Let's go look at our grade and make sure it's right. Got 100%. Go to financial. I'm going to go all the way down, make sure everything's green, and it looks complete. Well, that's it for the equity schedule. Any questions, like always, send me a message.